What transphobes think guy bones look like. Oh my god. So many bones. What's going on in the legs? Oh wow. Do you know what? I see it. Yeah. Like the good old transphobe x-ray vision. We can always tell we see your bones. It's not creepy at all, is it? Oh, the anatomy is bad. So very bad. This should be a fun one. Hey Spuds, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. First video on the channel. I don't know, but welcome either way to me and my snotty sounding voice. My name is Jamie and I'm very glad to have you here. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. And today we are looking yet again at even more examples of bad trans anatomy. Just cis people, transphobes, mostly not understanding how being trans and transitioning works and anything about trans people really, and we're just gonna have a little bit of a giggle and also correct the bad anatomy. Now a lot of these are from Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, or they're memes, but not all bad trans anatomy or bad LGBTQ plus representation and anatomy comes in tweet and meme format. Oh no, there's been plenty of media that has aged terribly in terms of its LGBTQ plus representation. Ace Ventura, anybody? Let's not revisit that one. But you know what? Not everything has aged like milk, or aged like other things that age badly. I mean, doesn't like fruit age badly? It's not just milk. Yogurt ages badly. What else ages badly? Can't think right now. Bad LGBTQ plus representation. But some things, such as Buffy, have aged pretty well in my opinion and definitely felt ahead of their time. Today's video is sponsored by Audible. Now, I remember vague memories of watching snippets of Buffy when I was growing up, but I didn't watch it in full, or even a full episode, I don't think, up until recently. I have now watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, okay? I can't believe it took me so long, but now I'm hooked, but kind of sad that it's finished. What do I do with my life? I was very pleasantly surprised to find some actually pretty good LGBTQ plus representation. There's a strong woman lead, and important topics like relationship boundaries, feminism, and grief are explored. Buffy is definitely something worth revisiting, in my opinion. So obviously, I'm sure you can all imagine my excitement to find out that the Buffy world did not have to end with the end of the TV show. There's actually also an Audible exclusive audiobook that you can get your not so pointy teeth sunk into. Slayer's A Buffyverse Story is an Audible original and only available on Audible. It has some of my favourite actors from the show, including Anthony Head, who played the quintessentially British librarian / watcher Giles, Charisma Carpenter, who plays mean girl turned kick-ass character Cordelia, and James Masters, who plays the platinum blonde vampire Spike. And can we talk about the character development there? And not only that, talking of cast, I was even more excited to find out that there is some amazing trans talent in this Audible original in the form of Juno Dawson, who's a voice actor in the audiobook. I'm so happy that my Buffy love doesn't have to end with the TV show. Because you know when you finish a TV show that you're really into and then suddenly it's done and it's like, what am I meant to do with my time? What do I do with my days? Why am I here? What is life? Well, this audiobook can delay that for you in terms of Buffy and supported amazing trans talent. It's a win-win. And you know what? Buffy might not be your thing, and I respect that. That's okay. And so Audible has a wide range of original content for you to go and explore. So maybe it's not sinking into the Buffyverse, but there's a whole variety of different worlds to continue exploring your passions. So go explore Audible for yourself right now, and do let me know in the comments below what you think of the Slayer's original, or what else you are currently listening to on Audible. And now time to dive straight into the bad trans anatomy. Woohoo! How hard is it to accept that some people cannot stay a man / woman because gender dysphoria is a thing? The only cure there is for it is transitioning. True. Transphobe says, your blood tells you if you're a man or woman, and that's it. There's no gender dysphoria. My blood? Gender dysphoria? What is gender dysphoria? I've never heard of this thing. I don't think there is such a thing as gender dysphoria. Your blood tells you if you're a man or woman. Like just looking at it? What do you have to do to the blood? That's very vague. Your blood tells you and tells the world.
You bleed and we see it and we can tell.
It's like the bones thing. We can see your bones through your skin. We know you're trans. Bizarre. Okay, so this next one is like a multi-parter. These photos were taken by hate group Women's Rights Network Greater Manchester, show the plans to force gender stereotyped clothing on school children and insist on gendered pronouns they are uncomfortable with regardless of their discomfort. Also, sex-based rules. Sexism. It is. It's just... Oh, okay, let's have a look before I make comments. Social transition at school. The government is working on new guidance. It is accepted that sex-based rules are essential in toilets, changing rooms, dormitories, including overnight stays, sports, at least post-puberty. Sex-based uniform rules are also lawful. Why? Everything about this is ridiculous. Like, all the sex-based spaces must be protected. And it's like, yeah, okay, so under that logic, the way that these people view trans men, you're protecting sex-based spaces by literally putting men into women's toilets, changing rooms, dormitories, and sports. Like me. Like, I would be expected to use the women's versions and spaces of all of these. That's not comfortable for anybody. I'm not a woman. And then the uniform thing. Why? I don't understand why uniforms have to be segregated. I remember being in year 7 and all I wanted was to wear trousers that did not cling to my hips and then flare out. Like, they were just the weirdest cut trousers I've ever seen, because they had to be like girl trousers, so they had to be different to the boy trousers. And I was like, can I just wear the boy trousers, please? No, I wasn't allowed. Sex Matters argues that this means schools cannot impose a taboo on references to any child's actual sex, so they can misgender children. A taboo. Let's just make it perfectly normal to trigger people's dysphoria. Children's actual sex must be known by everyone in the school environment. Tickles the hamster must know the sex of everyone in this school. Everyone in the school environment. What are you gonna do? Stand them up in front of everybody in assembly each year and just say, Timmy's sex is. Like, why? Writing, communicating, and enforcing sex-based rules necessarily rules out preferred pronouns or allowing trans-identified children to wear the uniform of the opposite sex. They're just trans children? We don't have to do all this like trans-identified children bullshit. And so what? It rules out preferred pronouns. So we're just like, yeah, who gives a shit about how trans kids feel? Let's just misgender them constantly in school and force them to wear a uniform that they're not comfortable with. Do you know how bizarre that must be for kids when at home who are accepted and present, say a trans boy gets to wear boys' clothes because that's what he's most comfortable with and the way he wants to express. Parents use male pronouns, all of that stuff. And then he shows up to school and is forced to wear the girl's uniform, like a summer dress and a skirt, and referred to as she. Like, how bizarre must that be? And then on the reverse, how uncomfortable would it be? Like, you are potentially taking away that trans kids' only feeling of safety. If they can't be out at home, if they're not ready to come out to their parents, now they can't even escape at school. Horrible. Principals. Schools should review policies to avoid discriminating between boys and girls in general. What does that have to do with, like, trans people, though? Shouldn't just, like, kids in schools be treated equally anyway? Ensure that sex-separated rules, facilities, and lessons can be justified. Lessons, rules. Stop discriminating against. But we have separate rules and lessons. The only lessons I can think of that would be separate, I mean, it wasn't until secondary school that PE kind of became a bit separate, but then it was just sex ed things that were like specific. And I think everybody should be attending sex ed that talks about all body types, because the amount of misunderstanding is a lot. Remember that no child can change sex, either in reality or in any legal sense. Oh, they're just so phobic. Gender and sex are separate. Can we not just respect a trans child's gender identity, please, and not make them feel like shit? Adopt an approach that supports safeguarding, in particular regarding sex-based rules. Oh, but forget about safeguarding trans kids, who are a very vulnerable group of kids, by the way.
We don't care about safeguarding them.
What we actually want to do is make them more uncomfortable. What would your reaction be if you requested a female doctor and she walked in and the image is of someone who is feminine presenting but has facial hair and visible chest hair? How ignorant are transphobes about women's issues? This picture is of a cis woman with PCOS. Transphobia is closet misogyny. This is why it's such bullshit when they're like,
we're just trying to protect women's rights.
no, you're not. You don't give a crap. You just don't like trans people and will take any opportunity to hate on trans people. So what? If you request a female doctor and she has facial hair, so what? Still a woman. Whether that's a cis woman with PCOS or a trans woman, still a woman. If you don't want that, then you can walk away from your appointment. Men will never pass as women around women. I'm assuming they're trying to talk about trans women. We can smell and feel you are male. I wouldn't be doing that unless you got somebody's permission. That's why women always lock eyes with the man staring at them instead of the woman staring at the same time. Biology matters. Biology means I will lock eyes with you from across the room. I mean, really? Really? You're trying to say that you can tell by the eyes? You can feel and smell somebody from across the room? Just that one individual? I think this person is a little bit confused. How is having to refer to a man as a woman not compelled speech? How is basic respect? Individual people are allowed to state how they would like to be referred to and what kind of referencing to them, pronouns, name, etc., makes them most comfortable. You are not compelled to go along with this, but if you do disrespect somebody and you misgender them deliberately, there are consequences for that kind of transphobia and disrespectful behaviour towards another human being. People are going to call you out on it. You're going to upset people. You are going to hurt people. And you're not just going to swan off into the distance having done that and nobody say nothing to you. What do you expect? Like, the transphobes, like, get called out and, like, you're being transphobic by doing that. Oh, stop forcing me to do something I don't believe in. Nobody's forcing you. Just saying, like, the way you're acting is transphobic. You carry on being transphobic. That's your prerogative, but you're going to keep getting called out for it, and you clearly don't like getting called out for it. And it's like, what I don't get is, why is it so difficult for people to just refer to those in a respectful way? You don't have to believe it. Nobody's saying you have to believe it, but it's like, if you go around somebody's house and you see their dog and you start saying, oh, what a lovely boy, oh, look at you, good boy, and the owner's like, no, actually, my dog's a girl, or like just starts using female pronouns for the dog, people switch like that and will start pronouncing the dog correctly. I've seen it all the time with our cats. Everybody assumes that cats are girls. We have 2 boys and everybody goes, oh, what beautiful cats, how old is she? And we're just like, yeah, he's 2. And they're like, oh, sorry. It's like, no, it's chill, it's fine. We do that for animals so they don't show the same respect to other humans as they do to cats and dogs. I mean, cats and dogs are amazing and should be respected as well, but like, I'm just saying, like, people can switch pronouns like that for anything else. Inanimate objects, mate, but not a human. Anyway, the wonderful Professor Stephen Whittle replied saying, you are not compelled to do, but a little respect goes a long way. If I call you, and then I'm going to block out the name of this transphobe because blah, and refer to you as she, her, and in return you call me Stephen and refer to me as he, him, we might manage conversation about why, and then it trails off. How would you feel if somebody if your name was Kelly and somebody decided to call you Jimmy? How would you feel? You'd be like, excuse me, could you please use the correct name? If you're a cis woman who's feminine presenting and somebody just started using male pronouns, you would say something, right? You wouldn't like it. It would feel disrespectful. And then someone replied to Stephen, another transphobe, I'll call you Stephen because that is your name. I will not call you he because it legitimizes and furthers an ideology that is extremely hostile to the boundaries of women and girls. Oh my god. I will disrespect you because I've bought into gender critical ideology that has made me believe that being trans is an ideology and a bad thing, when really it's not. I just have been lied to. I've been adding these stickers to women's restrooms, but you can only see if you stand to pee. Transing kids is child abuse. Transing. I mean, at least make them grammatically correct. Transing kids. Oh, such bullshit. And you've put the underside of a toilet seat because you only want trans women to see it, not realising that it would be highly unlikely that a trans woman would stand to pee. Some will, that's fine, but a lot will not. A majority will sit. A vast majority will sit. Pretty much all will sit. You've not done what you think you've done. Emmy does know women typically sit to pee, right? And also, what about if the seat was just up from cleaning and someone hovered? Like, it's just such a weird thing to do. Like, you know nothing about trans people and yet you are hating on them. Why? Elon Musk claims cis is a heterosexual slur. He's entirely incorrect. The word cis is a heterosexual slur. Shame on anyone who uses it. A heterosexual slur. I mean, this is in bad trans anatomy because cis is nothing to do with sexuality. It is the opposite of trans. It means the opposite of trans is to do with cis trans, not gay, straight, heterosexual, homosexual. It's not. Cis is a heterosexual slur. I mean, being against being called cis is the same as being against being called straight. So like, straight is to gay what cis is to trans. What we could do is remove both and just have like trans and gay as like the default labels, and if you are not trans, then you're called not trans, and if you're not gay, you're called not gay. We could go for that. We could call cis people non-trans people. Sure, let's do that instead. That's the alternative. Because sometimes a distinction is necessary, and trans people do not deserve to be othered either, in the sense of saying women and trans women. It would be cis women or trans women, or just women, and women would be including both cis and trans women. But what we could say instead is non-trans women and trans women. If that is a preferred alternative, I would be very happy to do that, to be respectful to people. But nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. That's why we have a term for it called cis, which is a very, very, very old prefix that is used in multiple other contexts and just means on the same side of. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. Transphobes are so bizarre. My take is this. Do I want to know? A group of trans women go out on a guided tour in the forest, and one of the trans women gets bitten by a snake. Unfortunately, the trans woman cannot identify the snake to the guide. This does not feel like a real scenario. The guide explains that he has a general antivenom which will slow down the venom's progress, allowing them time to get the trans woman to hospital. However, the general antivenom is gender specific. A biological male receiving the biological female venom will die, and vice versa. Which venom will the trans woman take? Male and live, or female and
Die.
Well, it's very confusing because you said it's gender specific and then you went into like sex-based terms. So is it gender specific or assigned birth sex specific? And is that based on hormones? Is that based on chromosomes? Is that based on genitals? Is that based on gametes? What is that based on? Because there will be something, if there were an antivenom that differed depending on assigned birth sex, then also how do intersex people fall into that? But let's just live in this fantasy land where there is this special antivenom, right, that would kill somebody of a differing assigned birth sex if they took the wrong one. What would that be based on? I feel like the most likely answer is hormone levels. Like, that just seems like the logical thing. I can't see how it would be based on chromosomes. I feel like it would be hormone levels, in which case it would depend on the trans woman's stage of transition. You really have to come up with these absolute odd scenarios, fake scenarios, to try and like catch trans people out. But then you say gender specific, and then you don't even clarify why this antivenom would differ depending on biology. And you don't acknowledge the fact that there are intersex people and multiple different factors that biological differentiated things could rely on. Like, so silly. Somebody quote tweeted it and said, and if there was an antivenom that had two versions, one that worked on feminists and one that worked on bigots, would gender critical people take the feminist antivenom and die, or the bigot antivenom and live? Little bit of good anatomy. Thank you for that. At Parkrun today, a trans-identifying male, so a trans woman, ran in the female category, because she's a woman, yes, over 10 minutes slower than, why misgender, her personal best. Nevertheless, she pushed more than 50 actual females down into worse finish positions. Females of all abilities and ages deserve fairness. Females of all abilities and ages deserve fairness. A parkrun. They do realise that there is actually research out now that shows that trans women do not have an advantage over cis women in elite sports. And you're talking about a park run. I'm not even talking about elite sports here. I mean, I couldn't do a park run, but it's not the Olympics. Remember, no matter what people in the anti-trans cult say, everything they do is around ensuring that trans people are unable to live their lives in public safely or legally, in fact. I read that very badly, but I hope you understood. Just as a little bit of info, Park Run is a free community event where you can walk, jog, run, volunteer or spectate. Park Run is positive, welcoming and inclusive. There's no time limit and no one finishes last. Everyone is welcome. It's not even a competitive thing. Transphobes are obsessed. One of the first trans kids was also one of the first detransitioners. He was experimented on by John Money at Johns Hopkins and did something YouTube doesn't like being said to himself at 30 years of age. His name is David Reimer. Yeah, thing about David Reimer is actually, it's a very, very sad case, and it is, oh God, it's a combination of laughable and horrendous that transphobes use David Reimer as a kind of gotcha to trans people and as support for their transphobia, because actually David Reimer was assigned male at birth and had a circumcision that was botched, and it went wrong. Very, very wrong. And so because it went very, very wrong, it was suggested that he should be raised as a girl. But this didn't work, and when he reached puberty age, he knew he wasn't a girl and went through many of the steps that trans men go through actually to live his life as a man. This case study actually is evidence that gender is unchangeable. You cannot force somebody to be a gender they are not, and gender does not have to match your physical body. And also, maybe we should not be performing surgeries like that on little babies and people who cannot consent to them, seeing as transphobes also like to be like, you know, protect kids, stop mutilating children, stop doing things that children can't consent to, when no trans kids are having trans-related surgeries when they're children, but circumcisions are happening, and then they're literally using the case of a botched circumcision to be even more transphobic. It's very bizarre. It literally shows the opposite of what transphobes wanted to, but they still try and use this case. And also, this is a human being who had a very traumatic experience, and they're trying to use that, and that's just not fair on this person or his family or anything, and just no. I don't think women are AITAs, am I the arseholes? They are just women. What? This section of AITA was created for biological males only, not for females or females who want to be males. What the hell? So somebody was unhappy about this, so go F yourself with that misogynistic BS. How did you even come up with such a ludicrous idea that this section of AITA was created for biological males only? Did you create it? Does it say so in the rules or the description or any? So somebody's pissed off. The original person replied, "Where did you get the idea that the note is misogynistic when I am praising women for not being assholes like men? Only males can do the outrageous things that they do. We bear the responsibility of our acts because of our intellectual abilities." Women just act on feelings. What they do is not part of what we consider an act of an arsehole. Women can't be arseholes because that sounds like they lack the intellectual ability and they just act on feelings, and they don't think that's misogynistic. That's not just like transphobic, but just generally incredibly shitty towards women. Wow. That's why he's taller. Also, bottom surgery. His bottom surgery made him taller. Yeah, they put his pussy bones on his knees. Please tell me that's a joke. That one must be a joke. We're going to end on that one because it feels a bit more lighthearted and like somebody was joking around. Yes, absolutely. What a hilarious joke. That was a time. That was a video. Thank you for sticking with it if you're still here. I know this kind of content isn't for everybody, but oh yeah, let's call out the bad trans anatomy. Yeah, if you like this video, think about giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. Go leave your comments down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.